Interesting. You go away for the holidays, you miss a couple of days, and then good news happens. That's why you try to get in here to talk about the transfer portal, and you get to talk about, well, just your overall team. Then you clip a video and you just ask yourself, hey, maybe this video is out there in the people's streets on and for a purpose. Basically, when we dropped the Harold Perkins video and along with Pat Payton, and what that could mean for LSU if he returns. Well, then within 24 hours, Harold Perkins is back. It wasn't the only news that LSU got this past week, as LSU is going to get an offensive lineman and guard or tackle. Josh Thompson, we'll talk about him, the Northwestern O-lineman that is coming and has committed to Baton Rouge. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the bowl game that's tomorrow. I do have some bad programming news. We won't be live after the game. I have to go to a wedding. And I have banned fall weddings. Or this isn't technically the fall. Now winter weddings. And if LSU was in a playoff, I would not be there. But my wife is in a wedding and I have to go. I have to go. So, yeah. My wife also had a wedding the day that LSU played Alabama. Wasn't going. So, yeah. There's that. So, we won't be live. We will be live on New Year's Day at 10 a.m., though. So, we are going to make it up. We are going to talk about the post game. Or we're going to talk about the game and give a recap to it on New Year's Day. Playoffs that day, too. So, might need to go over to Rufino and Joe show as well to catch all that coverage if you were a football fan. We'll talk about the game. Brian Kelly made some comments. Carter Bryant joins us. He's been out a couple of weeks. Joins us. We'll talk to him about some of the portal additions, some of the comments that Brian Kelly. We'll just talk about LSU football in general. So looking forward to that with him. And then we'll, if we have time at the end, and yes, we might be extended even after Carter leaves us, we might do a hashtag Ask Blake to end out the new year. Or to bring in the new year, I should say. So a lot to get to tonight. I'm glad you're here with us. We do have a super chat in here, though, from Jeb with a $5 super chat. It says, the 423 Speedwell, Tennessee up in here. Thank you for the great content. Well, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being here along with us. It greatly appreciates it. You know, Santa had an expensive Christmas. That's what the streets are telling me. Very expensive. So it very much appreciates me. We're going to get with Jared after the new year from Bayou Traditions, which, by the way, your Christmas came early this year. Perk coming back, Thompson. We'll talk about that. But we'll talk to Jared. We'll get that win bar for you. We'll do a drawing in the next week. It's going to be a lot to get into. So thank you for the super chat, and thank you for being here. We greatly appreciate it. Stephen Young says, can we talk about a week 0 game before Clemson like FSU or Virginia Tech did at the last minute? The only way that you can do that is if you schedule somebody, if I'm not mistaken, that plays Hawaii, or you go to or you go out of the country. So unless you want to go out of the country and pay for somebody to go out of the country and get it sponsored and all that stuff, then maybe I guess you could. Here's the truth. Here's the truth. If you think that you are a playoff team can get themselves ready to go on the road in South Carolina, probably at night, and win that football game. I'm going to be a little bit real with you. I ain't about to back down on none of that. My philosophy about what this place should be isn't going to back down. If you can't go on the road and prepare your team, great teams do it. Georgia don't say nothing about it. Georgia just lines up and plays football. Bama never said anything about it. I mean, I'm going to be real with you. If you want to be one of them, you gotta walk, talk, act like them, prepare like them. Screw that. Screw that week 0 shit. Screw You should be able to line up and go bust somebody in their mouth, because for the 2 decades before that, in week 1s, you would line up and go bust somebody up in the mouth. Maybe I need to put a pause at the end of that. Hell no. We don't bow down to nobody. Nope. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. Paul Frank says, Happy New Year from the 337 in Ville Platte. Good to have you in here with us. Ville Platte in the building. I tell you about them Ville Platte women. Just telling you. Andrew Martin says, schedule has been set for 3 weeks. A week 0 game has been out of the question. Clemson ain't got to play one. Clemson's not playing one. So if they beat you, what did they do to beat you? Mississippi State didn't have one during COVID. Florida State didn't have one the last year. They had one the first year, but the last year, they didn't have one. You're in game 1 and a brand new coach. Shit happens. Okay? This year against USC. USC didn't have one. They beat you. Screw them excuses, man. Nope. Only one team did it before they beat you, and it's game 1 of Brian Kelly at LSU. Spare me. No way. No way. But if LSU plays, I'm always going to be ready for it, especially for football. So what am I even complaining about? All right, let's get to it here. Let's get to a quick break. We'll talk about the game tomorrow a little bit. Some comments that Brian Kelly had stated. Harold Perkins is back. What does it mean? Josh Thompson, what does it mean? We'll get into that, and Carter Bryant joins us in 30 minutes. So let's get to it. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we talk about all that. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
All right. Let me get to this. So I got to say this before we get rolling here. There's no bowl. If LSU does not make it to a playoff, if they do not make it to a playoff, I want to be in the Pop-Tart Bowl. That's the bowl that I want to go to. I don't know if any of you saw the Pop-Tart Bowl this year, but the Pop-Tart Bowl was pure cinema. Pure football cinema. They had a Pop-Tart that came out and ripped his wrapper off like he was Hulk Hogan ripping his shirt off in the mid-'80s, early 90s, and even into the 2000s. Hell, I guess you technically could say that Hulk Hogan ripped his shirt off this year during a presidential campaign, but you get my drift. It is pure cinema. I want to go to the Pop-Tart Bowl. People are literally handing out boxes of Pop-Tarts. So you mean to tell me that I can pay and play in a game where I get free Pop-Tarts? If you don't make the playoff, here's my one thing about a bowl game that I want LSU to play in. I want them to play in the Pop-Tart Bowl. It's just the truth. I want to play in the Pop-Tart Bowl. All right, let's get to it here. So there were a couple of big announcements. So we talked about this last Thursday and kind of prepped it in going into Friday when the announcements were made. On Thursday's show, you and I talked about Harold Perkins potentially coming back, what that would mean for him if he potentially plays star, along with Patrick Payton, the edge that you got from Florida State. The edge presence that you would get from those two in a pass rush situation could be very deadly. But stop right there. Harold Perkins announced on Friday that he was coming back. I did see some mixed emotions out there about him coming back. Well, why would he do that? Why is he coming back? Like, hey, man, I mean, Park ain't really been that great. Okay, I could see where you would come from that. Perkins is better at star than Major Burns was a year ago. And you're upgrading with a pretty good athlete, if I do say so myself, a pretty damn good athlete that can play that position. There are a lot of questions surrounding Harold Perkins. Listen, you got to take the coaching. You got to take what everybody is telling you. You got to put in the work. You got rehab. How do you respond from that? Oh, and by the way, this is it. If you want to be to the level and talent that you can be at, this is the year that you go out there and you prove that. I do think Harold's got to slum up a little bit. I think that he can easily do that. How focused is he and locked in is he? If you're getting the Harold Perkins that is coming back, that has shown at moments and times the pure athleticism and the talent that everyone talks about him going into a preseason. What, the big talk this season was, hey, man, this is the money year for Harold Perkins. What happens? Well, he gets hurt. You've seen the flashes of Harold Perkins and the things that he can do. Whether getting after the passer, whether it be in pass coverage against Missouri. Well, and hell, just running down quarterbacks when he needs to. And running down running backs as well. Playing in the inside did not work well for him last year. It didn't work for him that great this year. So you're probably going to move him to that star role and star position. Now, Brian Kelly did talk about it today. He was meeting with the media the day before the game and said that we and Harold are aligned on what we need to do. So clearly a meeting has been had with Brian Kelly and Harold, clearly, about what they need to do and where they need to move forward. It's not working. And the inside backer, I thought it could. It didn't. But you are getting a guy that has first-round talent back. And what he presents for you at an edge presence at star, that star role being where Major Burns played at the line of scrimmage at safety, with Patrick Payton on the other side potentially, it can create a lot of havoc. It creates a lot of speed off the edge. It means that your defensive tackles have got to play big. But I feel really good about you right now getting after a quarterback on crucial third down situations where there's a lot of them. Guys, mainly, if you follow it, if a team runs 60 plays, about a third of them, 60 to 65 plays, a third of them is going to come offensively for you on third down. Another third is probably going to come from you defensively on third down. How do you get after the quarterback with both of them is going to be a massive question. But I think that there is a part in time where I'm not going to spend about what I think Harold Perkins can do right now. But if we go into spring and he's able to push himself and get in some workouts, you see him and he's trimmed down a little bit, you're not going to really get a great look at him and probably on what he can do at that position until the fall. It's going to be a long time. I would assume that they're going to keep him out of some spring stuff. Clearly not going to play in March, April. When you play the spring game, probably will be like April the 22nd. But I do think that you can get some glimpses of him and maybe some things that he can do. You already have an idea of what he can do playing that position. You saw it 2 years ago. So Harold Perkins returns. Guys, I'm just going to call it what it is. It's a massive upgrade from what Perk can give you to Major Burns. Sorry, it is. It's a much better athlete and a much better player. So you figure out what you've done there, and now you can get creative. You're not trying to fit a square peg and now a round hole on what it's felt like with Harold Perkins the last 2 seasons. So we'll see. We shall see. But I'm glad he's back. Perk has 164 tackles, 28 tackles for loss, 13 sacks, and 2 interceptions in the 3 years. Mainly, and most of that comes on the first 2 years. The experience that Harold has is immense. One thing that you cannot say about Harold is that he hasn't played a lot of snaps. He has. Guys, he's going into year 4. But now you have some pure athleticism that can come off the edge, and I'm really much looking forward to that. Speaking of that star role, which is a safety role, it is interesting. Before we get to Josh Thompson here, there have been some questions yet again about safety. Guys, I really don't know, to be honest with you. Not right now. When it comes to the safety position, I think one of 2 things are going to happen here. I think either you do stay put and hopefully Javian Toviano and Deshaun Spears can be good players for you. Maybe they can. Now, Brian Kelly alluded to this today when he says there's going to be some players that you need to watch out for. He didn't say good or bad, but you're going to have to watch the safety position. I am still immensely worried about what's going on in the back end at safety. Guys, what did you do all year long under Blake Baker, and what did he do at Missouri? He's going to keep that star safety role, which is where Perk will be. You're going to play 3 safeties a lot. So, with that being said, are you prepared to have Javian Toviano and Deshaun Spears when you want to send pressure the way that Baker does and playing man v man coverage with those 2 young men? You're going to get a really good look at them tomorrow on exactly what they can give you. Exactly what they can give you. Brian Kelly did allude to that they're not done offensive line in the portal. And he didn't say anything about safety, which I do find highly interesting. They need safeties. If there's a bona fide guy that can play safety, you need to go get him. Why they have not been able to land there has been an interesting topic around this football team. Whether it be guys talking about tampering, which they should not have done. Is there going to be a safety that's a starter with a team in the playoffs that LSU knows by an agent or whatever is going to go into the portal? I don't know. But they would probably know better than I do. No clue. You better hope so. You better hope so. I know there's been a lot of scuttlebutt about it. A lot. Indiana played more than 5 days ago. Florida played more than 5 days ago. And if I'm not mistaken, the portal window is pretty much closing or closed other than outside playoff teams, is it not? Probably should have looked that up. But I'm pretty sure it is. You better pray to God that a starter that you want goes in the portal. And I will tell you this. You ain't going to be the only one. I have a sneaky suspicion that there is a strong likelihood that the situation at safety could be a position in spring that everybody is after. Then it becomes a bidding war. The difference now is I think that you can play that game. Last year, you could not. Last year, you could not. I hope and pray that Javian Toviano, who was a top 50 prospect, top 40 prospect, coming into LSU as a recruit and was it the 2023 class. I pray to God that he's found a position at safety and that he can look good there. What I am worried about is that he's not ready. What I worry about is that Deshaun Spears may not be ready. And you have just, it's very difficult for me. You had Sage Ryan and Major Burns. Sage Ryan leaves and goes into the portal and goes to Ole Miss. Major Burns is not playing in this game. And then the two guys that should have been taking the starting roles from them, and Kylan Jackson and Jordan Allen, they both went to Texas schools. Allen today went to Houston, and Kylan Jackson went to TCU. At minimum, outside of playing freshmen, guys, God forbid if one of those guys goes down, then what? Then what? You got Chase Thomas, the freshman that's got to come in. Is he ready to go? He was injured during high school this past year. Is he going to be I don't know that. But I don't want to rely on a true freshman having to come in and take meaningful snaps. Does that mean that you move Mansour Delane to safety and pray to God DJ Pickett, who has had some very good moments in practice this week, and he's had some very high school moments in practice this week, which is exactly what you would expect. Exactly what you would expect. They got to go after safety. It's not an opinion. You can think there are things that you and I talk about as a fan base or media corps or whatever. And that becomes, well, this is Blake's opinion. Ain't my opinion. God forbid you got to go get safety for depth alone. Regardless if Javian Toviano and Deshaun Spears are able to take that next step for depth alone. Just saying, man. 2 first-time starters at safety. Now, Blake, what does that mean about Jordan Gilbert? I don't know. I do not know. But he's played a lot of football games. And is Jordan Gilbert going to be healthy enough? He's probably going to be out the entire spring. We won't see him during spring because I'm sure, he's been beat up. He's got some things he probably needs to take care of. It's going to be an interesting offseason at safety. You better pray to God that you can develop. You've been so bad there, man. So bad. All right. Last thing before Carter gets in here with us. So Josh Thompson, and we'll talk some bowl game stuff. Josh Thompson, the offensive lineman from Northwestern, has committed to LSU. And it's interesting about Josh Thompson because we talked about it on Thursday, and a lot of people came out here and was like, man, Blake, Auburn seems to be in this fight here. Auburn seems to be in the fight. In Tennessee, they were in the fight earlier. What's going on here? And here's the truth. You thought the kid can play, and you won the battle. Over Auburn and Tennessee. Regardless of what anybody tells you, you won it. That is LSU. The Josh Thompson recruitment, regardless of if this kid can play or not, you now know that the staff can identify somebody that they want. And you have 2 other SEC teams with a need at guard, maybe tackle, and say, hello, hey. We need this dude. And then LSU swoops in and says, let's pull a whole league Corso and not so fast, my friend. So, Blake, what are you trying to allude to? NIL walks and bullshit talks. That's what I'm saying. I think that Josh Thompson can do multiple things for you outside of playing left tackle, which maybe he can play left tackle for you. I don't know. But I think that he could potentially, depending on how you feel about your offensive line, can play guard or tackle. I like him more as a guard. I think that you have an athletic guy in Weston Davis that can play right tackle for you. And he's a 5-star recruit that's coming in here. Redshirted this entire year. Can Weston Davis, who Brian Kelly mentioned today, of a guy that we will, and I'm quoting, see a lot here, along with Cohen Eccles. They are going to be battling it out throughout the entire offseason. Brian Kelly alluded to today when he met with the media, we are not done looking and trying to go get offensive linemen. That sounds good. That means that, to me, that you're probably looking for a tackle. If one of these kids that's in the playoff is a tackle, just so happens to go into the portal, maybe you would go get him. That also tells me that Brian Kelly maybe has not liked what he has seen so far in this practice period, this 12th practice period, on what he has seen from his offensive line at the current moment. So that means that if you do go get another offensive lineman, that you got Thompson, you got Moore. And if you go and get another one, 3 of the 4 potential positions that you are trying to fill, because I'm throwing DJ Chester as being a starter coming back here, you're going to the portal. What's going on in the development there? So we talk about receiver in that position, but we've recruited really well at the offensive line. If you do go get another offensive lineman, what are you telling me about how the development is going? In reference to Josh Thompson, 31 games, guys, has played guard and tackle. I feel like that the actions showed everybody that you shoved Auburn and Tennessee in the locker on this one. I don't know how the O-line is going to shake out. I really don't. I know for a fact, outside of media privilege stuff that LSU has been given the media, I know that they've had about 6 different combinations along their offensive line in these 12 practices that ran with the ones. They're trying to find out who can play, and they're trying to find out who can play now. The Josh Thompson thing is interesting to me because you went and instantly got a center, and I think you're going to try to get – you're hoping that Weston Davis, the 5-star, starts blossoming here and that Thompson can take over at guard. How does all this play out? It's going to be the interesting conversation that me and you have all offseason, and we're going to have some idea, not a complete idea, some idea as to how does Tyree Adams look? How did Paul Mabinga do in his 4th start? How does DJ Chester look and going now into year 2 a little bit? Does Weston Davis spell Miles Frazier and play a right tackle? How does that work? Going to be very interesting. So I like the Josh Thompson pickup. We'll talk to Carter about it in just a moment here. Carter even mentions how much he loves the Josh Thompson pickup. So we'll talk about him with that. All right, we got a couple of super chats in here. Let's get to them. Both from Stephen Young here. He sends a $2 super chat, says, Nuss better be Burrow 2.0 if we are going to beat Clemson. I don't think that you need a Burrow-level quarterback to beat Clemson next year. Right? Like, I don't think that you need a Burrow-level I don't think you need that. I mean, guys, Quinn Ewers just beat him. Like, we'll have a lot to talk about Clemson. I don't think if you lose to them, then you have a big issue. But Clemson's not a good football team. Now, Cade Klubnik is coming back. A guy that scored 42 touchdowns this year was Cade Klubnik. K. Klubnik threw for 3,639 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 6 picks. He had 2 fumbles and 7 rushing touchdowns. Dude did against Texas, South Carolina, and SMU, all that have good fronts. They got run all over by a team in Texas that cannot run the football. Guys, imagine us going to play Clemson. Imagine this. Or how about this? Imagine Clemson coming into Death Valley, and you have been your run game, which is about where Texas was as well, statistically speaking. What if you went into a game with Clemson and this LSU football team ran for 300 yards? That's the equivalent of what Texas did here. You better be able to go in there and win, man. It's a massive game. Stephen Young says BK loses every first game. Schedule Sam Houston week 0. Stephen, I'm going to disagree with you for a third time here. Don't be a coward. I mean, not you're a coward. You as a program, USC didn't have one. Florida State the second year didn't have one. Mississippi State didn't have one. BK does not lose every game 1. Didn't at Notre Dame. You got to get that monkey off of your back. Everybody else in the country goes on the road in week 1. So many teams go on the road in week 1. Go on the road and win the game. I ain't backing down from that. Y'all are crazy. That's weak. That's some weak shit. Ain't no way, man. Not you, Steven. Thank you for the super chats. All right. Let me get to a quick break. Carter Power, the Bryant is what I was going to say. Carter, the Power Bryant joins us next. Stay with us.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
Carter, the Power, Bryant. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
Blake, we get to play a tackle football game tomorrow. Pretty excited about that. And you're already talking about Clemson, man. What's going on?
It was in the super chat. I mean, I didn't have a choice.
Well, no, pull up S. Young super chat. The committee showed they don't give a SHIT. It's his latest about strength of schedule. Why schedule Clemson?
Because you don't run from you don't run from anybody. That is the most beta mentality I've ever heard. I will not stand for I'm serious. I will not stand for it. Go win it.
Okay. He's partially right. Because
I'm 1,000.
No, you're not. No, Blake, you're not. I'm sorry to tell you this. You are not right. Because
Carter.
It's not the fact that you have to play Clemson. That doesn't fear me at all. It's playing it with a difficult season opener. It's such a huge.
For 2 decades, we didn't give a shit who we opened up a season with. Just because that you've underachieved and that you've underperformed in NIL does not mean that this place, that this situation, that you got to be scared of anybody.
It's not playing scared, though, because
it is playing scared.
No, it is not, Blake. It is not. It's playing stupid. If you as a program are the only team that schedule a difficult season opener every single season. Yes,
it's a beta mentality.
Kirby Smart in Georgia can overcome it because they're Georgia. They're better than us.
He wasn't Kirby, but that wasn't like them. He built them into that. But they don't back down from anybody. They don't back down from a fight. Neither did Nick. And I'm going to be real with you.
This is not backing down from a fight, though, Blake. You can still play difficult games. You can still schedule difficult non-conference games. But
you think the playoff committee is going to stay the same and that they won't eventually do strength of schedule? If you think that you see what we see in this playoff run right now is not going to change, then you're crazy.
But Blake, it's not strength of schedule, though. The point I'm making is a difficult season opener.
Who won the SEC?
Who won the SEC?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're talking about Georgia. They won the SEC.
Who went 9-3 this year in the SEC that played Clemson as well?
I don't know. You tell me.
South Carolina.
Yes. And who did they start the season with this year?
I don't. Old Dominion, I think.
Old Dominion.
Texas in the playoffs. Brother, y'all wrong on this. Y'all wanting to play these week 0 games because you lost the last 5 years.
No, I'm just saying don't play a difficult team right out of the gate. It's.
Do you think you're the only team playing a difficult opponent out of the gate?
Blake, only 4 SEC teams on average play a Power 4 team in week 1. That's 1/4 of the conference. You're putting yourself at such a serious disadvantage.
And you're one of the only ones that play FCS opponents late in the season too. When South Carolina at the end of the year is playing against Clemson and you have a 9-3 type Georgia Tech team that Georgia plays against and all those rivalry games go against, you're playing against Dickwater State.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I mean, I once again, I don't mind scheduling out of conference difficult games, but you don't know what your team is. You know, it's not so much that LSU did not play well in the season opening games. It's how drastic their roster changes in the first couple of weeks of the year. And
I remember a guy in Carter Bryant that called Kentucky pieces of dog manure for not scheduling a tough schedule. And now you're coming in here and telling me.
No, I'm just saying it's the season opener. Don't schedule such difficult season openers, Blake. It's hard to overcome. It is let me tell you this. Let me ask you this. Does LSU beat USC if they have a better idea who their best players were?
No.
Yeah, I think they do.
Carter, if you have 1 turnover tomorrow, you're going to break the LSU record. No, they knew who their best players were. You were missing them.
No, Brayden Durham did not play in that game. Was he not LSU's best running back?
You cannot convince me that Kyron Lacey, who had 7 catches against him in the first half, and he got 1 target in the second half, that's all on Garrett and knowing who the best player was. They force-fed him all season.
No, I'm with you on that. But the point is, you don't have to play such a difficult.
USC, no?
I would say
they broke in 4 new offensive linemen. They had a brand new quarterback. They had 2 brand new running backs. They were breaking in stuff too, and they still beat you.
Yes, and I'm not making excuses. You should still win a game once every blue moon in season openers. It's just harder. You're not the best.
What made LSU?
What?
Since 2000, what has made LSU?
Well, they've won a ton of football games.
I remember the great teams, the great ones, the national title winners. Okay? Ask Brandon Taylor the next time you see him if they're ready to go out there and kick the dog shit out of Oregon. You don't back down from nobody. You go and show other conferences who an alpha dog is. We don't want no puppies.
No,
I want a German Shepherd.
No, look, your mentality should still your mentality should still be, let's go out there and kick rear end and all that stuff. But if you do one thing that all the other teams in the conference do not do outside of Georgia in the first week of the season, it puts you at it, especially in the transfer portal era, Blake. You got brand new everything. But anyway, there's a game tomorrow versus Baylor. We could discuss this all off season because we got all.
It's a beta mentality, and in no way should you succumb to that. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that's fine.
Jay Johnson would never.
Yes, because college baseball doesn't have a singular game that matters.
Nick Saban would never.
Nick Saban played plenty of cupcakes in week one during his tenure. And look, he played some difficult week one games. He also occasionally played at Duke in week one as well. And obviously during the Saban
played at a Chick-fil-A bowl.
And honestly, a lot of teams were scared to play him. It's tough for him to schedule season openers.
That's my point.
So you want to become that.
Who
basically.
doesn't?
Right. I'm not saying I don't want LSU to be that at all. It's just you can avoid playing such a difficult game in week one. But I digress. Let's get to some of this, the Perkins and Thompson and news. I forget how long we've been out with you, so I don't know the guys that we have and haven't talked about here. Have we talked about Patrick Payton, you and I? Yeah, well, privately we did, but we'll
okay, but I'm talking about on the air. Have we talked about Patrick Payton?
Yeah, he's a big time addition, Blake. I mean, this is a guy that deflects passes at a really high rate. Probably the best pass deflector at a line of scrimmage you'll see. Really good. So when he's not getting home, he still stays active in the rep. He's a really good run and chase guy. The best version of him could be a Caleb Von Chason type of guy, even though, Chason's a little bit more bulkier than him. But Peyton is just a really, really, really fine athletic prospect. And honestly, Blake, Thompson is just so big. I've gotten pretty close in covering Tennessee. As you know, I cover Tennessee as much as any other SEC team not named LSU. And to beat them out in an NIL thing is really good. Not just NIL, but a recruiting thing. And that's really good stuff. Every Tennessee insider had this young man going to Tennessee, including some of the national guys. So as good of a player as he is, he graded out really well in terms of PFF. It's really good PR that LSU after.
That's what I agree.
Yeah, LSU winning all these recruiting battles. I mean, just ridiculously talented, solid transfer portal guys, and you win another one. And it's another one. It's DJ Khaled over and over again. And then obviously Harold Perkins, finding his role is going to be the most important thing. And if Harold comes into this process knowing that snaps are going to be far more competitive because the defensive talent on this team, Blake, is just so much better, right? Do
you think that he would compete with anybody at Star right now?
Maybe. I mean, who? I could see Devon Keys, who's kind of played that role, not wanting to move him out, especially if this bowl game is good. And
Keys ain't moving there.
Right. But my point is, if he is successful at that position, he had a rough game at that position versus Florida, but he got better. There might be a better interior linebacker to play next to Weeks. But overall, I do think Harold Perkins will come back hungry, knowing that it really is now or never for him. And I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we get old Perk back, and if he is fully healthy and ready to go, he'll be a great player for LSU.
I think he will play Star, and I think they'll send him a lot, and I think that him and Patrick Payton on the edge is dangerous.
Yeah. And where it's going
to – let me throw this at you right quick too, because you break down a lot of film.
Yeah.
Here's the challenge that it presents you at the current moment. Perkins now, when he's going up in a pass rush, more than likely because he's coming from a technical safety position, will very rarely unless it dictates, their protection dictates it, that he will go up against tackles. Now he will likely go up against tight ends and running backs to rush the passer. He is going to win a lot more of those reps than him going up against a tackle. That is a truth. That being said, I could see the very dangerous possibility of what LSU could present you in a pass rush situation. They could be very dangerous. I'm very intrigued by this.
Yeah. Look, and I understand people are saying, well, Star Sam, it was an outside linebacker that was kind of sort of the nickel. It's kind of sort of the same thing, but not really in many ways. But
not in what Blake wants to do with it.
Yeah, it honestly
a 4-2-5 on paper. Let's call it what it is.
Right.
The difference is that your nickel is what they call a star, and it's going to be a big safety package.
Right. And look, I like some of the things that Devon Keys did in the final few games after the rough Florida performance. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about Harold Perkins coming back, and hopefully this is a role that suits him. You know, he did some of this kind of quasi-nickel star stuff in that Missouri game in 2023 where he was amazing. So I'm really looking forward to see what he can do. And hopefully another great year under Blake Baker's tutelage. He'll be ready to go.
It's going to be interesting. Really interested to see what this interior D line can do too. You talked about Peyton and Thompson. Let me go to Pat first. You said he was long, lengthy, kind of a Kelvin Chesson. I think he's more of a. I don't like saying his name. I feel like he's more Arden Key.
Oh.
Arden will take off on rundowns, and so will Pat Peyton. He will take off on rundowns. Now, if he is unblocked, like meaning they're going to read him, he's a freak athletically. He's a freak of an athlete. Did you see the play that he made 2 years ago? I forget who Florida State played. I want to say they played a running quarterback. It might have been Jaden. But him running down Jaden from behind on his own read and affecting the play on third down, it may have been Jaden. I forget the play. Dude's a freak, man. He's a freak of nature. If he gives you – Carter, he had 70 pressures in 23. He had more than Fisk and Verse combined. You know that, right?
Yeah.
PFF put him at 70 pressures in 23. Carter, if he gets half of that, like next year, you're in playoff contention. I don't think people understand what that means.
Right. I do think he and Pyburn are going to be very good players. Obviously,
yeah, I know.
With the Nebraska transfer who we mentioned not too long ago, who's a good 3-tech pass rusher as an end. You can get really exotic with your pass rush packages. I mean, you really can.
Are you surprised that they went 4 defensive linemen?
No, not at all. I mean, because Swinson was so good for LSU last year, you want to take as many swings at who that next Braden Swinson for your defense could be. And there's multiple candidates here. Obviously, Patrick Payton, I think, in many ways has a ton of upside. And, you know, I understand he was very early in the cycle. You know, Jack Pyburn has barely scratched the surface. I mean, he's barely played. You know, that's part of why, you know, these
60 tackles in 8 games, Carter.
Yeah, and 344 snaps. You know, you look at his stats and you compare it to some of the other LSU defensive ends of the past couple of years. They're somewhat similar, and he played far fewer snaps. So for reference,
can I ask you a hypothetical?
Yeah, go on.
Here's my God's honest thought. Blake Baker, if you go watch most of the Missouri film, he stood up both ends. I wonder if you're not Pyburn, Mitchell, McKinley, or Guillory, whatever you want to do in the interior at DT, and then Peyton standing up on the outside. Jack is, I think on paper, he takes the Savion Jones role. His hand's just not going to be in the dirt. And I got to be real with you. Now you're starting to get a little nasty. I'm excited about it. I got to be honest with you.
And one thing Jack Pyburn did that LSU didn't do this year?
He stopped QB run game over and over and over again.
Well, in particular, you tackled your boy Marcel Reed a few times and made a few plays, and that obviously really stands out. But yeah,
he's really good. He is very good at zone read principle stuff. Even when he went into the second level, when they would move him into the second level, even then I thought, like, for example, the Texas game. Nobody goes and watches his Texas game because of the fact that they got blown out. Brother, the RPO stuff that he did, knowing that like a pass was coming and Quinn was going to throw it, was elite. It's not good. It was elite. Like, he's got a very high football IQ.
And I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm excited. Delane, the whole shebang. It's looking really good. I mean, I will tell you this, Blake. We don't know the ceiling of some of these guys, but the thing that you should be excited about as an LSU fan is this team's floor is going to be so much higher in terms of you being far more comfortable with who you have out there.
Are you worried at safety?
Yeah, but we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. I don't think LSU is ready to give up recruiting that position. And another thing, Blake, I look at this roster. It's just so much better.
Pray to God a playoff safety goes in that portal.
Well, I have my fingers crossed under this table. Yeah, I mean that's where they're in the most trouble.
They're in trouble. The only thing, God forbid you miss, God forbid, you got to ask Mansour Delane to go to safety. And you got to pray to sweet Jesus above that DJ Pickett is ready. Corey Raymond's going to have to work his outright magic.
Yeah. And
the kid's brother, he's 177.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Hopefully, but no, listen. We can get into this guy plays this position, we can move this. So many defensive guys, Blake, are tweeners, right? It's not always.
Do you think DJ Pickett could play safety?
Potentially, yes. But I will say that, we can get into this guy's a Sam, a Will, a Star.
You're just looking at the talent.
There's so many defensive players that are tweeners that could be either or and or that's a big thing. If you go listen, I listened to a lot of Pyburn interviews. When he got to Florida, that was a big problem, was trying to figure out what his best position was. That was part of why he was under recruited. And, that's why he was only a 3-star. So, once he found his position, this first full year, his first year at Florida, his redshirt got burned playing mostly special teams, like just blue collar special teams kind of stuff. So you're still trying to
2 years, doesn't he?
Pyburn, he only has 1 year left. He has 2 years to play one. Okay. So it's going to be interesting, now that he knows what his best position is, and LSU has a lot of snaps opening up at that position. You're right. You must find that DB. You must find that safety. But guess what I am hoping for? I am hoping that Deshaun Spears and JV Antoviano are watching us right now and say, look, I'm going to show you guys I am that next safety at LSU. And hopefully they prove it tomorrow versus a very experienced and together Sawyer Robinson and Baylor Bear football team.
We'll get to that just next. I want to get to Josh Thompson before we get to that game.
Yeah.
Carter, I think he's a guard. I've heard some people say that he could kick out to right tackle. I ain't putting him at tackle. I'm putting him at guard. Put him at right guard because here's what I think's about to happen. I think that Brian Kelly is playing a legacy game here, and he's going to be highly I don't care if there's a new OC that comes in here or not. I don't care who the tight end coach is. I've heard things. I think he's going to be highly involved in play calling. I think he wants to run the football. So a little worrisome to me that, I don't know. But I think you need to put him at guard. You texted me the other day and said that you love this pickup. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's just a very solid player. Look, Big Ten defensive linemen are good. It's one area where they've always been strong there. I mean, you always have that random Big Ten defensive lineman from nowhere that goes in the first round. Last year was Jerzan Newton. He's a second rounder, and that's just to point out that the talent there is good. So I'm really excited.
Ten's really good at getting D linemen. That is for damn sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm really excited to see what he brings to this offensive line. And obviously,
you think he plays guard or tackle?
I think he plays guard. I'm with you, but it does not come close to Braylon Moore's importance in all of this.
I agree. I agree.
He is so far and away the most important transfer outside of a miracle safety who might come in. He's very solid. He is very, very, very solid. The problem is he's not the biggest guy, and I
don't need him to be.
Yeah, you don't need to be, but you need to be prepared for maybe a Charles Turner type of player who can get pushed back at times. But Braylon Moore is just really, really, really solid.
He ain't getting pushed back against some of the guys they did play. I mean, we saw him play Peter Woods. We saw him play against Vandy. Okay. And I understand that Vandy isn't necessarily the predecessor team. Like, Blake's talking about Vandy. Carter, they were 36 in run defense. Was Vandy this year. Interior, I thought he played very well.
Yeah, he got better in that game. That was the first center game for him.
Right.
So I didn't really care. I didn't really care if he had some tough reps in that first half. I brought this up when I did his film study in the second half. It was very good, Blake. For his first ever game at center, he picked up some very exotic things that Vanderbilt threw his way, and it kind of got them back into the football game. So he had a big second level block that sprung a touchdown to bring them back. I mean, they were trailing and they came back and almost won that football game. And at that time, it looked bad for Virginia Tech because Vanderbilt was Vanderbilt, but the result doesn't look too bad at this point. A big part of that Miami game was that he got hurt in that game. And then versus Duke, one thing I really liked about him was there's a rotating door quarterback. Virginia Tech went through a few different quarterbacks in that game, and in their big touchdown to start, he had a very difficult block. Had to pull around to block a rushing end. It was a very exotic protection. You see a lot of modern offenses do this where you have one puller and that makes the play action a lot more believable. He had the big block on that play that really sprung them early to almost pull off that upset versus Duke. So he is very talented, very skilled. Obviously, a brother who played, high-level Power 4 football alongside him. He's coming in with a lot of snaps, a lot of hunger, showing that he can prove to play in the SEC.
All right. So, last thing on O-line is going to be interesting to see what happens at right tackle, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be an interesting. But Brian Kelly today said we're not done along the offensive line. I wonder if he doesn't like what he's seen out of this new O-line. We'll see. I don't know. All right, the game against Baylor's tomorrow. Your just general thoughts of how you see this one going. What do you want to see? Like, how do you see it going?
Yeah, so, line at 59.5, Baylor now 4-point favorites. It's not really a shock to me, Blake. You look at motivation. Baylor has far more motivation in this game. Obviously, it's a step up in Bryant for them. It's their former coach going up against LSU. Normally in these bowl games, Blake, I'm going to lean towards a team that is looking at this game as like a real milestone, and it really is a milestone. Baylor is 3-9. You give Dave Aranda a lot of credit. Took over the defensive play calling and got a guy like Jake Spadavito. I know I'm not saying his last name correctly at all, but they found themselves a quarterback who's very solid, has a little juice in the running game, and they brought in some good transfers. They brought in Michael Trigg from Ole Miss. They brought back Snacks Johnson from Arkansas, and they have a lot of guys that are locked in to play in this game, and this is the first real bowl game where LSU has like the normal amount of opt-outs you see in the modern bowl game era. So because of it, I am leaning Baylor in this game, but, I know we're pushing up against time. Blake, one thing that's very interesting, and it's kind of just an undertold story, is SEC quarterbacks have been so dominant in bowl games. I mean, it's ridiculous. You can see on my research.
Nico.
Okay, so let's dive deeper on that. That is like the toughest matchup you could have drawn. Especially
with Sampson going down.
Yes. So first round playoff game versus arguably the best defensive end duo in the country with bad offensive tackles. And I don't think he played terrible.
I don't either.
All things considered. That was one of the few egg SEC bowl games. So there have been 17 bowl games over the last 2 seasons, Blake. Actually, I have it right here. And 14 of them had an SEC quarterback play at a career high or around that level average. So I say all that because you can argue Garrett's best game was Wisconsin, period. I mean, he was ridiculous in that game last year. And a lot of other SEC quarterbacks have had ridiculous bowl game performances. And not only have they had ridiculous bowl game performances, Blake, they have had these performances without their leading receiver being there. You know, Taylor Green was ridiculous. Texas Tech is terrible, but he didn't have Andrew Armstrong. And we saw Brady.
Texas passing yards per game was in the 130s, by the way.
Right. Yeah. But he didn't have Andrew Armstrong, and he played perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And
another kid who's the kid that broke off the long slant TD?
Desmond James, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Brady Cook didn't have Luther Burden today. Was fantastic.
Or Theo Weiss. Theo Weiss got hurt.
So, you know, you take a look. So
what happens if Garrett plays below average?
Then it bucks a trend that SEC quarterbacks dominate bowl games. Like, it goes against a lot. So it wouldn't shock me if Garrett played well tomorrow because SEC quarterbacks have done really well in bowl games. I have a tough time believing, though, that, like, I've never seen a quarterback that has a brand new offensive line and literally, you know, his top tight end, arguably his 2 top receivers outside of Aaron Anderson out for this game. But if he does play well, it really shows you that this guy could be something next year. So we'll see.
I have a lot of questions about this offense. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Defensively, the only position I'm watching is safety. Just being real with you. I mean, there are some other things I'm watching too. The interior deal. I mean, I'm watching everything, but this offense, I mean, defensively, you have a pretty good idea of what you're going to get, like where you're going to get it from, right? I think offensively, Xavier Thomas, hey, brother. Chris Hilton, hey, brother. You want to prove something? I mean, they went and got receivers out of the portal. So, and not small name receivers.
Guys that are coming for your job.
1,000%. So, I mean, Xavier Thomas, for what it's worth, that's what everybody's been talking about media-wise during these practices. He beats TJ Pickett for a couple of touchdowns. He's been in the slot. He had another couple of touchdowns. He had a fade route touchdown yesterday on Ashton Stamps. So there comes a point where all I'm saying is, okay, you got some guys that need to prove some stuff, and you have an entire offensive line that's got to prove stuff. It's shit or get off the pot for a guy like Bo Bordelon. You're going to be a rotation. I mean, he's going to start right guard. He's going to start right guard. So, I mean,
you might see some Cohen Eccles.
Well, I think they gave up on the experiment of Cohen Eccles at center.
And Blake, before I skedat that, I think the biggest thing for me offensively is if Trades Green blocks well in this game, that's huge. It's huge.
I'm going to just say it. Here you go. Frank has been at tight end. It's been the biggest kept secret for bowl prep. I do think there's a reason they hadn't gone after tight end. Whatever he's shown them in practice has prevented them from going and getting another tight end.
Also, Cortez Hankton's brother.
Coaching running
backs.
Right.
Interesting. Happy for him, man.
They need another back. Well, let me back up. Hold on. Before you get out of here, Caden Durham does not play for me tomorrow.
Oh, you're load managing.
Yes. And I'm telling Caleb Jackson, here you go.
Let's do it, KJ.
You cannot. Here's the truth. If you want to be a playoff team, there's going to be multiple situations that you got to run the ball on 3rd and 3. And you need somebody like Rocket Sanders who will put his head down and say, "Hi, you get," all over somebody's face.
Oh man.
Old Street Fighter.
Come on. Well, hey, look, Caleb had the juice in the bowl game last year. I mean, he had those big plays.
Hopefully it wasn't orange.
What?
The juice.
Oh my God.
You ever seen Dave Chappelle? The third
Never
time.
heard. Never heard of. Never heard of Dave Chappelle. Never.
Okay. Well,
No.
I know you're joking.
Yes.
You need to go watch the Dave Chappelle O.J. Simpson thing. It is the funniest thing you'll ever hear.
I'll go watch it.
The fourth time I met the juice.
What are you doing for New Year's Eve?
I got a stupid. I have a great wedding I have to go to.
Oh, wait. So you got a game?
Not doing a post game.
No.
Yep.
Because I might not be able to do a post game tomorrow. I might not be able to. Because I got something I have to do New Year's Eve as well. But who is getting married on New Year's Eve?
My wife is in a wedding.
But do they not know you're Blake Ruffino? Do they not know
Last
that?
night at the rehearsal dinner, they thought because of a bowl game that I wasn't coming to the rehearsal dinner.
Well, yeah, you go to rehearsal.
Well,
dinner.
my wife's boss got married during the Bama game, and I did not go. If bowl games meant a little bit more, clearly, if you were in a playoff, I would not go. It's a bowl game.
But do the wedding organizers not know that most of our revenue is made in post game shows?
Oh, trust me, I've let it be known.
So who's this person getting married on New Year's Eve?
Her cousin, her first cousin.
April, you shouldn't have done it.
Not even close to her name.
Yeah, okay.
April O'Neil.
It's Courtney with the C. It's Courtney with the C. That's her name.
Courtney's with K's be bitches.
Yeah, you don't want to. You want to stay away.
You don't mess with Courtney's with K's. Then what? See, here's what people don't get: white women are stupid. All right.
I don't know where to go with that because I mean,
and if they got a K in front of their name, like Courtney, Courtney with a K.
Stay away. Courtney with K's with K, stay away. C's get degrees, baby. See you, bud.
All to the power, Bryant. Happy New Year, buddy.
Congrats, April. See
It's not April. Stephen Young sends a couple of super chats here. Let's get to him. My man's giving me all the money I can take right now. He says Nuss is going to progress. Probably will. He also says BK better win versus Clemson. Jay Johnson is elite. BK better win big. Yeah, I agree with you on that. One thing that we do agree on, I agree he's just got to win here. I'll challenge Blake. You want to take on tough teams when the committee doesn't reward you for it. Screw that. I mean, here's the thing. You're in the SEC. I think that they're going to make the SEC because think about this, Steven. The SEC literally is the only conference that you see these national media dudes running out here complaining about soft schedules. Texas, Missouri, they did it today. Like, you're not created equally. $10 Super Chat says, Nuss is going to be the next Burrow, calling it now. I hope he is, man. That means you're going on a national title run. I hope he is. All right, we'll see y'all soon, man. Y'all have a good night. Happy New Year. Peace.